friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Theresa here, and today I'm jumping back into my Project Life 2022 album, working with photos from week 2 and also working with Studio Calico documenter kits, journal cards from those kits, and embellishments, stamps, different alphabets and things like that from the Studio Calico documenter kits and also from the Traveler's Notebook kits. And so I'm just showing you a few of the journaling cards so far that I've selected. I wanted to work with this sort of coral navy, light blue, mustard pink color palette. And so what I've done is just gone through my Studio Calico cards and pulled a couple of options for myself to work with that color palette. And so I'm going to start with the title card, of course, and you can see the other cards around the layout that I've chosen at this point. That could always change throughout the process. But I'm going to begin here with this cute little grid card. And one of the reasons I chose it was because, one, it's a nice sort of background card that you can build on. The grid is a nice texture pattern, right, that doesn't overpower or overwhelm anything that you add on top. The polka dots incorporate all the colors that I wanted to use in the layout. And then it also had a nice little spot to stamp the date, to stamp the month, and also had the numbers 1 through 31 across the top. And so what I've done is taken a little tiny star stamp and noted what dates were included that way. And that's just another fun kind of way to highlight where we are in the month of January. And so what I love about title cards is they're a great way to start your layout because you already know what you want to put on your title card. You probably know that you want to put the month or the week on it, your dates or some version of your dates, and perhaps some other sentiments, life right now or everyday life kind of sentiments. Just for me, I'm going through sort of some of the embellishments that I have and pulling by color. And so you can see I've got some word strips here. Those are little chipboard pieces. And the half circle hello, that's a lovely way to pull in navy into this pocket, and some of the little chipboard or the asterisk pieces. I'm still infatuated with the asterisk shape. Thank you for week 1. And so I'm just going to work out here how I want to do a little embellishment cluster at the bottom left-hand corner of this journal card. And my idea here is I'm not going to use this as a journal card. It's just a fun card to create. I feel like I have other journaling spaces around the layout, and so this is just strictly going to be fun, presenting information about the date and what week we're on here, and kind of getting excited about doing weekly cards again. It's been so long since I've done weekly cards, and I kind of forgot how much fun it is just to make these cute little cards and play here with product. And again, just conveying information in a really fun, cute little way. I had some opportunities here also to add stamping, and so I used that little, what is that shape called? It just left my brain. sort of that pink color, and that gave me a space to stamp the word grow. And then I also used the phrase life right now and stamped that in a couple of places on the card. And then sort of figured out a couple of places to put those asterisks there. And I'm going to just say I spent a bit of time working on this card, probably more time on this card than I would for other cards in the layout. And I wanted to say that that's totally okay, and that's part of the fun of it. To give yourself permission to use your products and have fun with it with no time limitations. Sometimes a time limitation is good. You give yourself 30 minutes for one card and say, okay, it's done. I've spent long enough on it. It's done. But it can also be fun to let go of those rules, or let go of the expectation that a single pocket has to be completed in 10 minutes or less. This certainly took me longer than 10 minutes, but I was having so much fun, and I just kept finding things to add to it. And so keep going with that. Go where the good energy is. So I also, of course, wanted to notate the week. And so the idea of how I wanted to convey that, I went through a couple of choices there with alphabets, and I thought I was going to use those chipboard numbers. I love those chipboard numbers, but this was not quite the week to use those, or not quite the layout for them yet. So I'm going to use this navy alphabet, and I think that was a really solid choice. The reason I feel like that was a solid choice is because it helps it stand out. Because obviously at this point I've added quite a few things to this cute little card. And so how do we make this stand out? How do we prioritize this in the visual hierarchy? And that is through using the color navy. And so that was absolutely the best choice of alphabet color. And then I'm going to add just a couple of little tiny hearts there and call that card done. And move on here to the next journal card here that I want to work on. And this is a great little prompted journal card where it invites you to sort of check off some of the things on the list. And it also flowed really well with this stamp set. The stamp set was kind of focused on life right now, progress report, the little grow stamp. So it just worked really well with that theme. And the reason that I chose this was because my main story for this week was there were a couple of main stories, but one of the things was that I found myself in a depressive episode. I spiraled a little bit for a couple of days and pulled myself out of that. And when I took the photo of myself with the light behind me in the window, that's when I began to recognize that I was getting better and coming through this depression, that I was getting through it and coming out of it and starting to see a little bit of light again and starting to see the light in myself again. And that's what I want to focus on when everybody has down days. And when you manage chronic depression, you may find that you have down weeks. And this was definitely a down week. There was a lot going on, a lot of hard work that we did that week. I'll talk about that on the right-hand side of the page. A lot of work that we had done the week before. And then we also took down the Christmas decorations, and that's always a little bit depressing as well. And so there's room for that, and I loved making room for that. and creating space to document that on a little bit more of a personal level in this year's album. And that's something that I want to focus on, something that I've committed to doing. And you can, of course, see how I did week 1 and incorporated some of that personal element in that layout as well. You can see that on our blog and on the YouTube playlist for the 2022 project. So you'll notice that I've chosen a couple of patterned journaling cards or patterned filler cards. I love the muted feel of these cards and the way that they incorporate color. And the way that I use those is by layering a grid card or a lined card right on top of it. And that pink and sort of coral one that I just did, I layered a gray lined card on top of it and then created a list there, and just used that progress stamp to list out a few ways that I saw myself making progress that week, and just sort of taking a moment to celebrate personal successes in overcoming hard times, in overcoming hard days, coming through managing chronic illness, and business successes, family successes. This is the place, the perfect place to document those. And just remember to sort of take photos. I like to think of it like this. Take photos that remind you of your progress. And that photo of me with the light behind me reminded me of my progress and helped me to realize the progress that I had made. And so I just want to challenge you this week to photograph yourself. This is a bit of the work we did in Light the Path last year and the year before. Take a moment to photograph yourself in a way that reminds you that you are the light and that the light is in you and it comes from you, and then document how you see that week. And then I added the little chipboard that says shine bright today. That was perfect for that photo. And then I'm going to back out of the screen here and let you see the photo at the bottom corner, the bottom left-hand corner, was when we were putting the Christmas ornaments away and all of the Christmas decorations. Alan went walking by me carrying the top part of the tree, and it made me laugh so hard just seeing that tree walking by out of the corner of my eye. And that was another moment there where I realized that I was getting better, that things were going to be okay for me. And I made a point of taking that photograph of him walking by with the Christmas tree, the little top part of the Christmas tree, and made a point of documenting how that little moment of laughter brought me so much joy in a week that was more challenging and more difficult. And that also, to me, is the sweet spot for Project Life and what I'm hoping to focus on this year. And I really hope that you'll join me throughout this year and make a point for yourself of paying attention to those moments where you just give a big, deep belly laugh. Take a picture that reminds you of that, and then get that in your layout and document why that made you laugh, why it was important to you that you laughed in that moment, because that's what we want to remember 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I want to remember those big, deep belly laughs and those quirky moments. Those quirky moments, I can't quite describe it because you have to know Alan, and he makes me laugh. He makes me laugh a lot with his mannerisms and the funny things that he does. And that's what I want to remember, and that's why that's there. So moving on to the right-hand side here, and a couple of stories that are going on in this side of the page. One, the photo of the living room, and I've documented that photo in my planner for this year already, just soaking in that calmness and that warmth that I feel when I walk into the living room and when we hang out on the sofa together, and how much joy that has brought us. Because we did a major redecorating of the living room last year. It was a year-long project with the epic sofa ordering event, if you've been following me. And so now we get to enjoy that that experience of hanging out in that beautiful space and enjoying each other's company as well. And the other story was more about the snow, and it sort of got over the snow sort of, now that we're a few weeks out from it, it sort of got fuzzy for me. But there's another picture from the back porch, and just the weather conditions. And then I also included this photo from the In My Pocket Life Stories launch. That announcement and that launch has been ongoing. The shop update that we did in January was a huge undertaking, and so I wanted to celebrate that success here. And one of the ways I'm doing that is acknowledging how messy, and this journal card just sort of fit that. It says, it's all messy. The hair, the house, the mind, life. That just summed it all up really well. Things were going really fast during this time, and just a lot of work that we put into the shop launch. And I'm so proud of that, and so excited about the direction that that's going in. And of course, I'm continuing my commitment this year to try to get my own face into these layouts, at least in one photo. And so I'm happy for the marketing photos and the videos that we do for content creation, because that helps me accomplish that and helps me get in front of the camera there, so that I can be present in my own albums, right? And then here, I cut up that navy blue card. I love that card, and it was really pretty, but it seemed really dark. And so I cut it apart and used the quote. I just did messy cuts and adhered that across the top of the photo from our living room. And you also saw again here how I'm layering journal card on top of a patterned card. And this is just another opportunity to bring in gray and bring in that navy as well. Gray has sort of been showing up for me a lot lately. I used it in the week 1 layout as well, and so I'm going to go with it. It's sort of what I'm feeling. I've always liked the color gray. I've always liked it as a neutral. That probably comes from my design school days when I was an interior designer, and we used a lot of gray in corporate interiors, a lot of gray in offices and office design. And so I'm just going to keep rolling, and it's a nice way to do a neutral card that isn't just plain white. Sometimes I feel like all white, but there was a lot of white on this layout already. So a little gray is a good thing. And then, of course, I added the little flower die cut to that gray and navy card, and then adding a little label and a little bit of journaling here to that snow photo. This card was probably the jumping off point for the whole layout here, and I don't know if it ended up working out or not, but I had this idea that I wanted to use the on my desk card on top of it, and then do a little border going across it and journal underneath. And I don't know if it worked out. It doesn't matter. We're going to just keep going. I used that little One Canoe 2 stamp, roller stamp, to stamp that dividing line, kind of. And then I added my words underneath it. But in the end, what matters is it's done, not whether it's perfect or not. And I still like this. I still like this little card, and I really liked that pattern behind it and that color palette. And that's really that's the best purpose that this card served, is that it established the color palette for the page. And I say that all the time. Pull a card that you like the colors of it, you like how it looks, it's fun, it's cute, it makes you happy, and then pull the colors from that and use everything that you use going into the layout should come from that color palette. And then you'll have a really cohesive and beautiful layout. And that really is, like, that's my best advice. So I'm just working here real quick with the selfie that I took. I'm going to just layer a couple of these labels here. I'm using the heck out of this Color Theory products from Studio Calico. I love them. I love Rainbow Order, as you know, and love that, again, it's an easy way to bring in the colors of the layout into a photo like this that otherwise kind of stands on its own. It doesn't have any of the other colors from the layout on it, and so here the labels help tie it in together. It's still a pretty neutral photo, right? The color of my shirt is pretty neutral, and the background is pretty neutral, so that works out really well. And so I'm going to just back out here and let you take a look at the whole page. I am going to add just a couple more little tiny embellishments here and there to finish this off. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. I hope that you'll leave me a comment down below and let me know what it is that you're paying attention to this week, and what is it that you're photographing to include in your layouts. I would love to hear from you. We also, of course, have the In My Pocket Collab Life Stories class is still available and will remain available for purchase. We're finishing that up this week, and I hope that you will join us in the classroom. I'll see you over on the blog. I'll see you on YouTube as well. And thanks again. Bye-bye.